Hello, good morning. I am your anchor this morning, Chukwe Bukaike, and we're reaching you live from the capital city of Abuja. I'm not alone this morning. I'm going to having my guest join me in the studio and virtually. And in the studio with me this morning is Mr. Raphael Oja Okomo. Mr. Raphael, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you once again for having me.
All right, Mr. Raphael is a social commentator and sports analyst also. Also joining us virtually, we have Comrade Soko Abraham. Comrade Soko, Comrade, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Good morning, Mr. Ebuka. Good morning, Mr. Raphael.
Good morning.
Good
All right,
morning.
Comrade Abraham Soko is a political and sports analyst. And joining us also this morning virtually is Prince Kelechi. Prince Kelechi, good morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, welcome to the show this morning. Prince Kelechi is a professional football referee and he's also a sports analyst. All right, viewers, before we continue our discussion on the sports story, please let's take a look at the front page of the Punch Sports Extra. The list story there has the story on the front page says 2025 AFCON qualifiers missed reactions trail Eagles list. And the kicker says Nigerians kick against Osime inclusion, Desas, Educate, and omission. All right, that's on the front page and continues on page 7 of Punch Sports Extra. All right, above the masthead we have Chelsea submit offer bid for Osime. All right, see that story on page 6. Page 6 also has a story on Lookman prefers PSG to Arsenal. Also, page 6 is food up, and it also has another story with Ocean last calls in first backer face off. Same page 6 has the story on Nigerian task Labadia with World Cup ticket. Page 3 now has the story on Dream debut goal, Trees Olmo. And page 2, Trump makes incredible golf claim. Also on page 2, we have Joshua versus Davis. Organizers 6 increase in Wembley capacity. Page 2 now has another story on Atanda Musa pledges table tennis development. Right below the list story, we have the story on page 8. It says US Open, Sina, Alcaraz survive early scars. And then page 2 also has another story on Adesina's coach hints at 2024 return. Finally, on the Punch Sports, we have the story on page 3. It says Ancelotti downplays Mbappe's slow start. We also have couple of other stories. But remember, you can join this conversation by calling on the numbers showing on your screen right now, or calling and sending in your comment via our various social media handle. All right, Mr. Raphael. The governor of Edo State, which is His Excellency Mr. Godwin Obaseki, on Monday has in victory or in celebration of Edo Queens has rent or giving them a spray money spray on them and has given them 100 million naira cash for successfully winning the CAF Women's League Wafubi qualifiers. I think it's a good thing in the right direction. But what do you think about female soccer in Nigeria, coupled with this performance by Edo Queens?
Edo Queens. For the longest of time, Nigerian has been on the high when it comes to female football. In Africa, let me put it that way, in Africa. But I think of recent, we don't hear much. We don't hear much about what's it called, the female football. That's why you can have people have issues of not having local based players in the Super Falcons team, and that's can only tell you one thing, that you don't have as much as you think you do to be able to invite to the national team. So I think, like I said, recently it has been on the low, and for what Governor Obaseki is doing, I think is good in terms of encouraging the girls, because now we have a female Champions League, African Champions League being played, and these Wafubi tournaments, I think it serves as the qualifiers
to the
for
tournament.
the tournament. So it's a two-in-one thing, them winning the Wafubi competition and also qualifying for the Champions League. There was a time that no team could match up to the Super Falcons because of the array of talent and stars that we have at our disposal. Do you understand? And then imagine a Champions League was introduced in the days of them Perpetual and Kocha, them what's it called, Messi Akide and the likes. I don't think any one of them will even come near our team, because the bulk of the team were home-based players, and these guys were doing very well, and the league was also thriving. But now I don't know if the league is even alive. I stand to be corrected. Sure. It might be, but then again, they've played for like 2 female Champions League, African Champions League or so, and the Nigerian team was nowhere to be found. I think the last one was won by Sundowns. So while other teams are beefing up their leagues locally, I think we've gone to sleep on our own. So for what the governor is doing, is a step in the right direction, trying to boost their morale. Now imagine you winning the Wafu B tournament, qualifying for the Champions League, and you're getting this recognition. Now take that to the bigger stage. You win the Champions League. So it's a good motivation for them to take it a step higher when they go out for the Champions League.
Oh, all right, thank you so much, Prince Kelechi. Just like Rafa has said, he says it's a good motivation. Do you think Obaseki's tenure is ending this year, and he has been a good supporter of football in Edo State and sports, grassroots sports in Edo State in general? Do you think what he did will be sustained after his departure from office?
Well, thank you very much for that question. One unique thing about Nigeria is we lack continuity. Okay, truth be told, any governor any person that comes new into office will want to do something that will say it's me that did it, not a continuous process. But we just pray and hope the incoming governor, after Governor Obaseki, will continue the kind gesture the current governor has started. It's a good development, and it's really a morale booster. Okay, just like Mr. Raphael have said, in the days of Perpetual and Kocha and Messi Akide, if the Champions League was introduced then, I don't think any country would come close to anything from Nigeria. But nowadays, you look at the last one was won by the Mamelodi Sundowns female team, and they are really good. The Nigerian factor, I get to see it in a way whereby we get to strive in our club side outside the country, and then the teams within, I don't know if I'm to use the right word to say, they suffer. Okay, you will see the last Nations Cup that was played in Morocco. You agree with me that 95% of the Moroccan team were home base. Look at South Africa as well. Look at Zambia and other countries. They are building from within. But in the case of Nigeria, we get to look at outside. That's why today, if you decide to call the Super Falcons teams, you get to pick either 2 or 3 from home base, and possibly they end up not even making the team. Right? But if you look at other countries, most of their players, a very good chunk of their players are home-based players. Look at Morocco, look at South Africa, look at Zambia.
Yeah.
A very good chunk of their players are home-based players, and that's why they play together as well. For instance, South Africa, the Mamelodi Sundowns team, most of them play together in their club side. That's why when they get to represent their country, they don't find it very difficult to blend. Not like in the case of Nigeria, where if you invite the Falcons to come in, they have just 1 or 2 weeks, and before that blending takes place, other countries have gone ahead. So what Governor Obaseki did is very good, and we pray the incoming governor and other governors as well emulate him, and he's a real morale booster. We say congratulations to Edo Queen, and hoping when they get to the Champions League proper, they're also going to do well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Prince Kelechi. All right, so this is from us to Edo Queens as they go into this women's CAF competition. We pray you get the right desired result. All right, so NFF has announced and has appointed a new spearhead for the Super Eagles, which is a new coach for the Super Eagles team, and fans have come out to query NFF and say, what is this? Finidi is even better than this person you are appointing, and why do we have to go from fire from fry pan to fire? What are you doing? But Bruno Lambadia is the 7th German to take up the position of coaching the Super Eagles team, and Germans are known to be tough. They are known to be very dogged, hardworking, disciplined, and very tactical, and they are very meticulous about their football style of play. So I want to hear from you, Comrade Soko. Do you think that appointing Bruno Lambadia 10 days to a very crucial match is a thing in the right direction, or a decision in the right direction, and best fit for Nigerian Super Eagles?
Much, Mr. Ebuka. I want to start by saying that the appointment of Bruno is something that I'm not really comfortable with. I am actually looking at the realities on ground. I would say that I don't know the basis behind the appointment of Bruno, and I will tell you why. This is a coach that he does not have a spectacular CV. He managed Hertha Berlin. He managed Wolfsburg, and I think Wolfsburg was escaped relegation narrowly, or they were relegated, and he was sacked. From there, he went to manage Hertha Berlin, and he managed Stuttgart. And this is a coach that, in this club that he has managed in Germany, well, we're all saying he's a German coach, but it's not enough to say he's a German coach. Is he a spectacular German coach? Is he an average German coach? I don't even think he's an average. Let's leave spectacular. Personally, I don't think he's an average German coach. So I don't know what really prompted NFF to make this appointment. We also need to look at the fact that this is a coach that have not managed a national team before. I'm talking any national team in the world, not to talk of an African national team. He has not left the shores of Germany to manage the national side. So how are we to know that he will be able to cope with our climate, our tropical climate? How are we to know that he's not going to fence in the dugout? Because these are issues that we have to look at. So I personally, I don't support the appointment of Bruno. Also, we also need to look at another reality. This is a Super Eagles side that is facing elimination from the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. We are in deep, I would say, trouble when it as regards the 2026 qualification for the World Cup. So I think that the NFL needed an appointment that will actually galvanize the side, that will be inspiring. But the appointment of Bruno Lambadia, I would say that it is not an inspiring choice. I believe that personally, our indigenous coach would have been better than this appointment. So I wouldn't want to sound too pained. I will allow you guys to take over. Personally, I'm not comfortable with the choice of this NFF appointment.
All right, thank you, comrade. Mr. Raphael, fans has come out to say that Finidi George is even better than the new appointee, that's Bruno. But record has it that Bruno has helped save a couple of teams from relegation. Do you think Bruno he has been appointed to save Nigeria from losing out from the AFCON qualifiers and the World Cup 2026 qualifier?
First, I want to start with Comrade Soko, who say he doesn't want to. More like I don't want to get angry, so he passed the anger
on
to. First and foremost, I don't know what those people who are saying Finidi George is better than him are talking about, because Finidi George didn't do anything, so you can't possibly use Finidi George to qualify. So maybe you will say Finidi George became a national team coach before him. He has never coached a national team.
Not even an African team.
He has never played in the African continent. And Comrade Soko said something. What is his? What does his CV say? I said something here last week that the NFF, they are a very unserious body, and I stand on that ground. Very, very unserious body. Last week here we're talking about Anderson that was appointed. Then from nowhere, before we even got home that evening of that day, or the next day, we had Bruno. Whoever it is that is coming out to give those information, they should check that person first and foremost. Now we have, hoping that by the end of today, we'll not have a different name. Bruno Labbadia, that we don't know from anywhere. Do you get? I don't know how Nigeria goes where other countries are going for no names. You see things like, I think it was Zambia that came with Avram Grant.
Yeah.
There was a time that Cameroon had Clarence Seedorf. Ghana had I stand to be corrected. One of the coaches in the EPL then that coached Brighton, I can't remember his name now, was at their bench. And then for Nigeria, they just come up with names. In fact, as a matter of fact, some coaches get introduced into the football world through Nigeria, because most times we've not heard them do anything. Like when Pesero came, they say it was Mourinho's friend. So we employed him based on this friendship with Mourinho. So nobody knows. The only thing we know is going online to go and read whatever it is he has done. And Nigeria is not playing in a league where we are fighting for relegation. And one thing I want Nigerians to know is that we have an open mind, because this man has no magic that is coming to do.
Exactly.
You just need your players to put their acts together and be ready to work for the result, because there's no team that wants to be kicked out of this major tournament. A lot of teams wants to go there and also showcase themselves. If the Nigerian lads don't think they need that slot, I think you should sit back at home. But for the NFF, the question I want to ask is this: where were those that applied for this role? Where were those that applied for this role? At least we know people like Seinfeld, who has been in Africa for a very long time coaching different teams. We know people like Conceição, who just finished with Cameroon, I think 2 years ago, thereabouts. We know of the one that everybody was clamoring for, Havrin had, who took 2 different African teams to the Nations Cup. These are people that we know that pedigree, we know what they've done. And somehow, is not good enough for the NFF. Somehow. Okay, let's come back home. People that applied for this job, people like Emmanuel Amunike. When you cannot get the ones that maybe their asking price is too much for you, we had Emmanuel Amunike, who also applied for this job. We had somebody like Sunday Olise, who also applied for this job.
We have somebody like Siasa, who's just coming out.
Who's just coming back from
FIFA ban.
Do you understand me? And then somehow you found somebody, in fact 2 persons, who never applied for the job. First it was Anderson, and now it's Labbadia. I said it last week and I'll say it again. A time will come, maybe the coach, most times when they leave the office, that's when they come and start saying what happened, why this happened. Labbadia too will come and tell us what and the reason why he was hired, because as of today, I just checked his profile, and there's nothing that states that this man has coached any national team, not in Africa, anywhere.
Any national team anywhere.
Any national team. And then you're coming to Africa. First and foremost, at the moment that Nigeria doesn't have a style of play. Nigeria doesn't have a style of play, because Pesero tried his own. He worked to a point, got us to the final of the AFCON. And then we lost that because we couldn't sustain whatever it is he has introduced. Nigeria at the moment doesn't have a style of play. What is Labbadia going to introduce? What is Labbadia known for? At least there was a time we knew champion football as a Wenger. We knew tiki-taka with Pep Guardiola. And because he's a German doesn't mean Nigeria will play German football. Nigerians are not German. Do you understand? Because the idea is German football, they'll be disciplined, will be firm. Our boys now, but we don't get, we may be Africans, but I don't think we have that. So whatever reason for which it is that they employed him, I know one thing about these people: they're very quick to fire when the person doesn't produce results. Instead of them resigning, because you have trusted and celebrated coaches that have worked in Africa and that will know their pedigree, and you go from the list that was given to you to somebody who was on his own to go and call him. God help us.
Amen. God will help us. All right. So 10 days to the qualifiers, to qualifying game for the Super Eagles. Bruno Lambadia was appointed, and now a few players has come out. Players like Iwobi has come out to say we are ready to qualify for AFCON 2025. And then we also have Ndidi declaring war against Benin Republic in Oyo, and a whole lot of others. Now I want to come to you, Prince Kelechi, and I want to find out from you that what do you think going forward Nigerians should expect from the Super Eagles? Have been it that we're facing for our qualifiers, we are facing countries like Benin Republic with Garnet Royds there at the head coaching crew, who has been in the African football formation or football participation for years now, and comparing to the fact that we're just having Bruno Lambadia, who has never coached any African team, who has never coached any national team, coming to compete against Kenneth Royce, who is already an experienced and a very old hand in the African football competition. Prince Kelechi, are you there? All right, Soko. I don't know if you got the question I asked Prince. Soko, come Soko.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, did you get the question I asked Prince?
Okay.
Kelechi?
Sorry, if that question was for me, I did not get it. Please, we can check it.
Please, can you come back? Can you rephrase?
Okay, I was making mention of the Super Eagles qualification for AFCON 2025, and we have players like Ndidi, Iwobi, all others fired up for the 2025 AFCON qualifiers, and we have Osai Samuel being that full of our game against Benin Republic, having it that the current coach of Benin Republic, Garnet Royce, is an experienced hand in the African competition, African football game, compared to that of Bruno, who is just been taking up his first position as a national team coach, and having been his first time in the African soil and in African football style of play. What do you think is our fifth?
Okay, thank you very much. I would say, if not for the disorganized NFF we have, if not for the failure for us to put our house in order, I don't think that there are very, very few things in Africa that can actually stand up to the Super Eagles when it comes to talents and skill in football. We have the talent, we have the skill, but we don't have the organization, I'm sorry to say. Yeah. And if the Benin team, coached by our former Eagles coach Roy, if they have the organization, if they have the preparation, I don't see how they are not going to beat Nigeria. I'm sorry to say, because football is not just all about the talent. You have to have the dynamics. You have to have the synergy. You have to have the play, and this is what the Beninese team have at the moment. And I read a few minutes back that Roy is wishing Bruno the best, and he believes that he's going to succeed. I would say that is a very, very sarcastic wish. I don't believe that. I don't believe that he actually means that, because I believe that Roy, he coached Nigeria and is exposed to some of the problems in the NFL. So I don't think that deep in his heart he actually wants Roy to succeed. And we also, as you have also pointed out in the studio, we are also playing the Benin team. Are you saying that he's wishing us he's wishing our coach to succeed against him? So I think that he's being sarcastic and he's being mischievous. I don't actually believe that, based on the realities on ground, we are actually going to do well vis-a-vis. We can actually beat other teams with our shared talent. We can actually beat other teams in the group. But when it comes to a team that is organized, like the Benes and the Rwandas. I saw that the Rwandas they are already in camp. They are already preparing for the AFCON game that they have against us. And our list is just coming out. We just appointed our coach 2 days ago.
And Nigerians were yet to assemble to camp.
I'm sorry to say.
All right. Thank you, comrade. Prince Kelechi, do you think we can stand against the countries we have in our group for the AFCON 2025 qualifiers, having it that the Rwandan side is already in camp? The Benin team has our former head coach as their coach. What do you have to say about this whole qualification at hand?
All right. Thank you. First, I will say congratulations to the Super Eagles. Finally, they have a coach.
Yeah.
Earlier on, the news making is Austin Eguavon is going to serve as interim manager for the 2 matches. Did that until from nowhere we got a name, Mr. Bruno. We wish him all the best, and we pray he succeed. Now, looking at the matches we have at hand. We played Benin Republic before and we lost. That's actually the first time we're losing to Benin Republic. And you agree with me that a very good chunk of Benin Republic players are home-based players. They're still boiling down to the point I made earlier on. When you have these players play together, they get to know themselves. Okay, and you rightly said the Rwandans are already in camp, preparing for our match, which is I think on the 10th or so. And the Super Eagles were still battling with our list. I think that just yesterday or so, if I'm not mistaken, the new head coach is saying no, he wants a 30-man provisional list. He needs to add and remove and some other things. We're even yet to have these players on the ground. I think, was it this morning or so, I was snuffing the internet and some fans are saying, we don't want Osimhen, we want this, we want that. It's to show we don't even know who and who we really want to come and play for us. Anyways, we are Nigerians. We always speak positive about our dear country, Nigeria. One thing that unites us very much is sport, football to be precise. So, as a good Nigerian, I will say I wish Super Eagles all the best. But truth be told, I don't see any magic being done. I don't see any magic being done for us who are going to beat these teams. But notwithstanding, we wish ourselves all the best.
All right, thank you, Prince Kelechi. All right, Mr. Raphael, let's talk about the transfer ongoing, having it in mind that all transfers are ending this weekend, 30th of August, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so we now have somebody like Osimhen, who has been on the transfer gist or transfer window since the beginning of the this season's transfer window, and somebody has come to say you can't feed your family with trophies as Super Eagles star backs Osimhen and others chasing Saudi money. And we also have Lukman, who is saying that he prefers PSG to Arsenal. And looking at clubs like Chelsea, after all the whole transfers, all the whole players they've bought, comrade, no harm meant this place. After all the players you've bought for this season's transfer window, you're still open to seeking to get Osimhen. And then we have some controversies against Mikel and Jackson and what have you, where Jackson has come to Mikel has backlashed Jackson and said he's not doing his job right, and Mikel also said if Jackson is playing well and scoring the goals, even if he comes up and tells him shut up, Mikel will shut up because he's doing his job right. So I don't know what do you have to say about all these things. Then also they will have the account of Chelsea listing Sterling from the team, and Man U has interest in Sterling. Let's hear your view about this whole transfer. Just
they're looking at a situation whereby there could be a swap, Sancho for Chelsea and Sterling for Manchester United. I don't know if that deal is going to pull through, but that's what they're looking at. And Chelsea has also delisted, I think, a list of 10 other players or 9 other players, telling them there's no space for them at the moment. And if you check very well, yesterday was his name, Leslie Ruchku, is now with Southampton. I think he played with them yesterday. So I think the coach wants to be able to clear out these players before the transfer window ends, because if he doesn't find a way to clear them out, it's going to cause trouble for him.
Yeah.
That's one. So he's trying to do that as soon as possible. I even think someone like Ben Chilwell too is also affected. Chaloba is also affected, and what have you. Looking at it from this angle, like I said earlier on, he's trying to just clear his head so he can have people to work with and know those he can direct his instructions to, and he stated it very clearly for them. I think Jackson should focus on scoring than replying trolls, because if you're doing well, nobody would have time to talk about. And this person who is talking to you, who is also termed as one of the Chelsea legend, because he has won it all with Chelsea and played with the best in Chelsea and know what it means to wear the blue shirts. Yes, I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I know the days of Mikel, the likes of Drogba, Lampard, John Terry, and the likes. When you're playing with them, you have your heart in your mouth. But now, kudos to them. Over the weekend, they beat Wolves 6-2. So I want to believe they can build from there.
Jackson scored.
One, I think that was why I was able to speak, you know. And who knows, like my younger brother said, I hope they've not scored all their goals. They will score for 3 matches or 4 matches. Do you understand me? Then going down to the transfer market, which will be ending this weekend, I don't pity Osimhen at all. I don't pity Osimhen at all. Somebody say, why would you say such a thing like that? You know, people say leave when the ovation is loudest. When you help that team to their first Scudetto in 30 years and you won the Golden Boot, first things first that was noticed was the fact that the league left you and named Varakshila the best player
for that season.
And he was celebrated like he was the one that carried the team. Do you understand? And then there were a lot of suitors that came for Osimhen at that point in time, and you deemed it fit, instead of leaving, to sign another contract and increase your wages. Now clubs are trying to balance accounts and nobody wants to match up to the asking price. Yes, somebody said if it was maybe one foreign European player that is in his position, clubs would have snapped him up. It's because he's Osimhen. Why didn't they ask other players to reduce their wages? Like I said, you leave when the ovation is loud. At that point in time, people will splash cash. The reason why they're asking you to lower your asking price is because you're now surplus to requirements. The coach has told you doesn't want. In fact, Osimhen for the past 2 or 3 games has not been on their lists.
Yeah, he hasn't played the game for the last 30 days.
I'm not even talking about playing. He has not even been listed on the bench. Days. Do you understand me? So you would not even want who can Shakara you want do a guy if you won't come. Do you understand me? And now Igalo was the one that said you can't feed your family on legacy. Oga, come to Saudi. Do you understand? Osimhen is a young player, the African Footballer of the Year, who people want to see, you know, with his talent and everything he does on the pitch in the European world where we watch week in, week out. And then this one is dragging you to Saudi where nobody even watches, we only read on the paper. Because if you ask me, most of them who go to Saudi right now is just for retirement, to go and collect pension money. And if he goes there, he decides to go there, fine and good. If they have the money to pay his wages and go there, because if not, he's surplus to requirements, and Conte may never use him because they've already gotten Lukaku. And lastly, Lukman saying he prefers PSG to Arsenal. Every Aboki with his own kettle. So if that is PSG he wants to go to, maybe because he likes the league and maybe because what they're offering is more, why not?
All right. So let me take your last word on transfer. The transfer window is coming to an end shortly, and a whole lot of people are trying to round off and balance their accounts. Who do you see your team, your favorite, your supported team buying or selling before the end of the?
Arsenal just did the deal with Southampton yesterday with Ramsdale.
And he's I think now he's the highest goalkeeper in the European.
So he's off to Southampton, and then we have Eddie Nketiah, who has moved to Crystal Palace. You know, we're hearing Nottingham Forest. All of a sudden, it's Crystal Palace, from Marseille to Nottingham Forest, now to Crystal Palace. And they were about to do a deal too with Jacob Kiwior, but I don't think Kiwior will be going anymore because Tomiyasu is supposed to be a backup of the right back is not forthcoming with his injury cases and so on and so forth. And Arsenal just got a player, Mikel Merino, back. Do you understand? So the market is very busy. Everybody, in fact, I was seeing on the papers, Nunes for Arsenal, yes or no? Do you understand? So who knows? We still have we still have some last minute rush. And of course, there was a scenario one time when Odemwingie was still playing, where we saw Odemwingie, if I not just Odemwingie, so many players running in the airports to beat deadline just to go and put pen to paper. Do you understand? So up until the last day, you can't say never. Do you understand? It happens. All the clubs are still trying to bring in people, even as Chelsea is trying to bring, Manchester United is trying to bring, Liverpool, and what have you.
All right, thank you. So let me come to Soko. But before I get to your view, I want to talking about tonight's UEFA 2024-2025 draw. Let me just tell you viewers what's different about this year's UEFA Champions League. It has this year's UEFA Champions League. We see 36 teams involved, and each team will play 8 futures against 8 different opponents in the league phase, which will replace the old group stage. And then the top 8 teams at the end of the league phase progress automatically to the round of 16, while those who finished from 9 to 24 will compete in a playoff to reach the last 16. Then the last 16 we see the top 8 league phase teams take on the 8 playoff winners for a place in the quarterfinals when it finally goes back to the normal style we all know about previously. So, Comrade Soko, what do you think about the pots we've seen on your screen? We could see the list, the teams qualified, and we know all the teams in pot 1, pot 2, and pot 3. We have the top teams: Liverpool, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and all others in pot 1. So, how do you see these draws for tonight? What do you think will be the outcome of the draws for tonight? Comrade Soko.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ebuka. Personally, I feel that this new format, the reason behind it is to make the whole Champions League more exciting. And I'm actually in support of it. Because the playoff games, when you play playoffs, where the little I know about playoffs, anything can happen. A very low ranking team can overcome the giants and they can progress. So I believe that the rationale behind this is to make the whole Champions League more exciting. So there was they wanted to introduce the Super League, and that was soundly rejected by football fans around the world. So probably this is a fallback plan in making this decision. So on the draws, I believe that it's going to go as it has always been. I believe that there are teams, as you have rightly showed, in pot 1, and these teams are actually the traditional teams that actually do well, like the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Manchester City, and I believe that we are going to have a surprise group that we have the champions, and I believe that there are also going to be some teams that we should actually look up to. Like there are some teams that are just coming into the Champions League for the first time, like teams like Girona, teams like I think Bologna. I think Bologna from Italy qualified for the Champions League. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to actually be an exciting draw. I also want to talk about this Jackson issue. Can I just briefly?
Yeah, just one minute, or you have 1 minute. Okay.
Mr. Raphael said Jackson should actually stop replying trolls. I want to say that first of all, Mikel Ruby is not a troll. He was a pundit on a television show, and he made some very, very valid statements as regards Nicholas Jackson. It's my player, but all what Mr. Mikel Ruby said, we actually fact. What did he actually say? He said he has the potential to be a good player, but he doesn't shoot the ball like a striker. He cannot hit the ball, and this has been our complaint as Chelsea fans. Jackson does not play like a striker. When you need a striker to be clinical. You need a striker to to be able to hit the ball properly. But Jackson is not, he has not done that so far in the in Chelsea team. So him coming to tell Mikel Obi to shut up, I believe that this has all the arrogance of a player that's not learning, is not willing to learn. There was a situation in Manchester between Ronaldo and Greenwood. Ronaldo was actually trying to advise Greenwood to improve his game, and Greenwood was actually very arrogant. Look at the situation today. Greenwood had to go to Getafe and is finding himself in Marseille in France. He has actually been demoted. He's not improving professionally as his career should go. So sometimes when more professional players, more disciplined players, when legends try to constructively advise you, as a young upcoming talent, you should be willing to learn. You should be willing to take the good out of the bad. You should be able to shaft this advice. So I believe that Nicola Jackson is way out of order in replying John Obi Mikel. Thank you, Mr. Ibka.
All right, thank you. So Prince Kelechi, let me quickly get to you. The draws are for tonight. Whom do you think, or what do you think will be the outcome of the draws? Who do you think Arsenal will be against? Who do you think Man City will be against, or Barca will be against for the Champions League 2024-2025 season? That will take that as your last word for the show.
You. I believe we've read in the dailies and online saying Arsenal is going to come up with a top draw and things like that. But one thing I know for sure is this Champions League is going to bring surprises. I must be honest with you. You know, it's going to be a Champions League whereby if you don't put your mind to play, you know, the newly introduced teams are really going to spring surprises, the likes of Girona, Bologna, and the rest of them. So I wish all the teams all the best. I wish all of them all the best, and I hope to see a very good and interesting Champions League group stage in terms of the groupings and matches as well. And finally, in terms of the transfer, if I may say, dynamic transfers are what some things are into. I must be honest with you, you know, because they get to know that other teams, most teams get to reduce their cost, so they get to ship out players and bring in players. So this blind minute rush, expect the unexpected, because you're going to see different transfers, different players moving. You're going to see aeroplanes, helicopters moving from one direction to the other. Thank you very much, and I wish everyone all the best. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for being on the show this morning. Thank you, my studio guest, Mr. Raphael Ojaokomo. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you, virtual guest, Comrade Abraham Soko. Thank you for being part of the show this morning. And Prince Kelechi, thank you very much for being part of today's show. To you viewers, thank you for staying glued to your TV and being part of the show this morning and the discussion this morning. To all those who sent their comments, thank you very much, and to those at the back end, thank you very much for making today's show a success. All right, let me leave you with this, viewers, please. I wish in my heart, in my deepest heart, that we all be rooted in love, that we all be nurtured in by generosity, and we all be steadfast in honoring those whom honor is due, honoring your elders, honoring your seniors, honoring all those who honor is due to. Till we come again next time, the show continues tomorrow morning, same time, same station. Bye for now.